Hello, Home Slices. It's Kiera with Home Slice Adulting coming to you with another review of Iyanla. My dog is so needy, y'all. Just anytime I get ready to do a video, that's when he wants to be in my face. He wasn't bothering me for the past 10 minutes, and now here he come. All right now. All right. Chill out. All right, so anyways, thanks for clicking on this video. I'm doing a review of Iyanla Fix My Life, Season 7, Episode 4, called Biological Mama Drama. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of this video, thanks for clicking on the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with somebody who you think will enjoy it. Don't forget to follow me on social media. You can find all those links down below in the description box. And again, this is the final season of Iyanla Fix My Life, and it wouldn't be right if I didn't review it. I've been reviewing the past few seasons of it, and I haven't been as consistent on my channel as I might like to be, but again, it's the final year. It's the final year of my MBA program, so I've been busy and I'm planning my wedding, so I'm making time for the things that are important to me. So that's my goal. Anyways, so this time we are talking about a family that it is maybe a person that is experiencing some disarray in their lives because they were adopted, and now at the age of 40 they finally found their bio parent, their mom, and they're trying to put the pieces of their life together. So this is a story about a 40-year-old man named Terrell who found out that he was adopted at 6 years old, and at age 40 he discovered his biological mom and that he had 5 biological sisters. So his bio mom, as we'll call her, her name is Angela. She's 52 years old, and her attitude is, at the end of the day, that's my son. Denise, his adoptive mom, her attitude is, well, is his biological mom going to take him away from me? He has 2 biological sisters who are participating in Iyanla Fix My Life with him. One is Alex, she's 29 years old. One's Angelica, she's 32 years old. And he also has his adopted father, Bobby. So this is a story of a man who's trying to piece together pieces of his life after missing a bit of his identity from his biological parents and trying to put all the puzzle pieces together. So we meet up with Iyanla and Terrell, and we see these pieces of a mannequin all over the place. Iyanla likes to use symbols, and it's an obvious use of him not really being whole because there are pieces of his identity and his story that are missing because he was adopted. So, of course, she asked the all-time question, why are you here? And he says that he's in the middle of a tug-of-war with his bio mom and his adoptive mom. There's some issues on social media that have been happening. And then the bio mom will say offensive stuff like, if I would have raised him, he wouldn't have turned out gay. And my initial thought is like, how dare you? How dare you try to rewrite history after you gave your son up, right? So that was my first thought, okay? So apparently in his late 30s, he took a DNA test. The DNA test found a cousin, and that cousin connected him to one of his 5 sisters. And within a few minutes, they were all calling him, and he talked to his mom, and he didn't believe his mom when she told him that she had been thinking about him every day. Which is understandable. I mean, he was 40. He's an adult now. You thought about me every day for 40 years? Sure. And you didn't bother to come try and find me at all? I'm with him. Any feelings that he has about his bio mom are completely understandable. But then he drops a bomb and says that Angela was 12 years old when she had him. And I was like, whoa. Then come to find out she had stair-step children after him, and that she had another baby when she was 13 and 14. And he doesn't know anything else about his mother's story or her history, and as a result, he feels lost and abandoned and overwhelmed. So he hasn't had a conversation with anybody, adoptive or biological family, about how overwhelmed he is with all of this information that he has to take in all at once. And Iyanla, of course, always talks about the marination in the womb and all the situations that you marinate in, and how it impacts your life. And I feel like this is like a clear indication that like what you don't know can't hurt you not being true. Like that's just not a true statement. And he has to still deal with the impact of his mother's family history and his sister's family history without ever really knowing what they exactly went through. So that's just another part of him that's missing. So moving on, Iyanla this has him do an activity where he constructs a timeline from age 0 to 40 to basically show his mom what she missed out on. So we see Iyanla have a quick chat with Terrell's adoptive parents, Denise and Bobby. And Bobby thinks that they're there because Terrell is trying to figure out where everyone fits together now that he has two families. And they say that they're comfortable with him finding his bio family. And Iyanla says, y'all have to find a way to come together because you can't have him feeling apprehensive about connecting with his new family. I mean, connecting with his biological family. And then Denise says that she wants Terrell to be unafraid to ask questions and to live his life with pride. And Iyanla says, well, y'all have to be solid for Terrell and allow Terrell to ask questions without him feeling like he's hurting his adoptive family by seeking out his family history. And I thought that was really, really insightful because our actions speak volumes. And maybe, and I'm not saying that this is true about Denise or Bobby, and it's possible that Terrell could have made it up in his own mind that like I'm hurting my adoptive family by seeking out my biological family, but I think Iyanla is saying that they have to clearly state that you can grow and build a relationship with your family and not feel like you are offending us. And again, yeah, I thought that was just really insightful. So next we see Iyanla chatting with his biological sisters, Alex, who's 29, and Angelica, who is 32. They are very pretty women, well dressed, they look great, and they do have the same nose as Terrell. It's kind of freaky a little bit. Anyways, they found out about their brother as kids from their aunt. Now, question is, which aunt is this? We'll get to that later. I'm curious about which aunt it is. But anyways, they said that when they would talk to their mom about Terrell, that their mother would shut down and deny it, and that they feel that Terrell experiences some type of divide between his adoptive and biological families. So Iyanla senses some rage and sadness within Alex, and of course, Iyanla, as perceptive as she is, begins to question where that rage and stuff comes from. And Alex, bottles it in, and that she blames her mother for some of the negative characteristics that she's developed as an adult. So nobody knows the circumstances around how their biological mother got pregnant at such a young age, and their bio mom never wanted to talk about it. And one of the daughters was saying it always seemed like there was so much pain around those circumstances. And Iyanla was saying, you don't get to feel pain, like your pain is not as important as reconnecting with your son and telling him who he is and telling your children who you are. And so the fact that it's been 40 years and they still don't know, it really is time for Miss Angela to build a bridge and get over it. And really divulge these details that are really important to her kids. So Uh, Come to find out, Angelica, one of the sisters, wasn't raised by their bio mom either. She was raised by her father's parents. So, looks like Terrell was not the only child that was left behind. So, Iyanla chats with bio mom Angela, who's 52 years old. She's a good looking lady. I don't know what it is about black people that makes them look good at every age. I mean, she didn't look 52 to me. she didn't. Anyways, Angela is crying when Iyanla comes into the room because she's looking at the timeline that Terrell created. And she said that she was thinking about how different Terrell's life would be if she had raised him. And Iyanla was like, well, he didn't turn out bad. Like, he went to London at 18. Is that something he would have been able to do if you raised him? And she was like, probably not. And she was like, oh, he has an album. And apparently Terrell's a singer, which is awesome. And I felt that it was really, really weird that the first thing that she said was, I wonder how his life would be different had I raised him. I feel like that's just a weird thing to say. So the first thing that comes up is Angela talking about how she doesn't agree with the fact that her son is gay, and that, she uses biblical reasoning, which is a tale as old as time. And my personal thought is that she's deflecting, okay? I think she's using the one thing that she views as wrong with her son to make his adoptive parents look like they failed, which in turn makes her look better. And the real question is, what could a 12-year-old give to a child? When you think about being 12 years old and the things that you were worried about, the things that were on your mind when you were 12 years old, there's no real life experience. There's no real financial security. There's there's really nothing that you can teach you really do not have much to offer to a child. So her harping on the fact that he's gay is like of no consequence, because chances are, if you were 12 years old raising a child, he might have not even made it to 40. Who knows what his life would have turned out to be? So I really feel like she doesn't have a right to play those shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Personally, I really didn't care for that. I felt like she was deflecting. Y'all tell me what y'all think on that. But anyways, Angela says that she blocked out a lot of the pain around being pregnant at 12, and we found out that she was molested, raped, and beaten. So we assume that Terrell was a result of rape, particularly because she was 12, and that she never told her mom. I don't know how that happens. I don't know. I'm curious about her relationship with her mom. We later find out that her mom just wasn't there. There was no additional information that we found out. But if my 12-year-old is pregnant, I want answers. How did she not tell her mom what happened to her? And I understand that there is a big stigma around sexual assault, and that victims are threatened. Victims are accustomed to what rape culture is and know that and understand that it's very difficult for the people that they accuse to actually be punished or prosecuted. So I'm not making light of that. But what I'm saying is that her mom should have been somewhere up in the mix, especially before and after the fact. Okay, so it just boggles my mind that she didn't tell her mom. That just blows my mind, really. But anyways, Iyanla says to Angela she needs to get some healing by acknowledging what happened when she was 12 and why she denied Terrell to her daughters, why she basically denied his existence. And Angela feels like Denise is whispering something in Terrell's ear about her not wanting them to be a big happy family. And I didn't get that feeling from Denise. I feel like Angela feels threatened. Um, so there's some misunderstanding there, but I mean, I would understand why she would feel insecure about being in her son's life after he turned 40 when somebody else raised him. Um, but moving on, Iyanla says that the two moms need to stand together and show Terrell that it's okay for them to be one big happy family. So we see Iyanla sitting down at the table with Terrell, Alex, and Angelica, and Iyanla wants Alex to talk about what it was like growing up with Angela. And Alex does not seem ready to do that. She's like actively saying no. And then Angelica was saying, you know, Alex is the type of person that will hold in her own emotions to protect somebody else and will do so at her own expense. So finally, we get Alex to open up, and she mentions that, you know, her childhood was filled with desperation and abuse and running from CPS, and said that she was not enrolled in school until the third grade because CPS would know where she was and come to get her. And Terrell just broke down. And throughout this experience, we see Iyanla is really driving home the point that just because he was not with them does not mean that their story is not a part of his story. And so Angelica, the other sister, talks about having to leave Alex with her mother because she was raised by her father's parents, and not having a choice because she was only 8 years old. But Iyanla acknowledges that Terrell and Angelica were safe, and that's not what Alex went through, and that wasn't her experience. And Iyanla says that talking about your experience is not talking about your mother, and not talking about your experience doesn't protect your mother. And I thought that was really good, and I think really freeing, because my personal opinion is that the Black family praises the Black woman so much to the point where you can't say nothing about her. And it's not just the Black woman. I mean to say the Black mom. Black moms are everything, right? And so if you have something negative to say about the Black mom, it's like, well, I raised you. And, well, and there's this level of defensiveness. And it's like, we have to protect Black moms at all costs. But let's keep it real. Black moms are people and they mess up. And just because somebody messed up does not mean that they are a bad person, right? It doesn't mean that just because I talk about my experience that I'm talking about you as my mother. So I thought that was really freeing. So now we see Iyanla with all of the siblings, Alex, Angelica, and Terrell. And so Alex goes first, and she talks about how attached she was to her mother and that she found her mom to be verbally and physically abusive, and how their mom would leave for days at a time, and she was afraid that she wouldn't come back, and that she felt unimportant. And so Angela tenses up. Again, with Black moms, I'm your mama. I did the best I could, and it becomes an excuse and a defense, and Iyanla has to say, calm down, let it go, say thanks for sharing, let's move on to the next child. So next we see Angelica, and she says that when I went away to live with my grandparents, I longed for you as my mother, and no matter how much love my grandparents gave to me, no matter how many things they gave to me, they were not you. And that hurt my feelings. I don't know why I was more hurt by what Angelica said than what Alex said. But here's the part where Angela cops attitude with Iyanla, because Iyanla is telling Angela that you need to own that you fail your kids. Angelica wants to say it how she wants to say it, with qualifiers and excuses. I fail my kids to a certain extent. No. Iyanla's like, no, you need to own it. Own that you have failed your kids, point blank, period. Because as long as you put a qualifier on it, you're going to give yourself an excuse for why you did what you did. And there is no excuse. Just acknowledge it. So there was a little tense moment and an issue with that. And so Iyanla asked Terrell to speak up on what he's hearing, what's going on right now. And so Terrell says, I don't think you, his mom, his biological mom, Angela, are receiving what Iyanla or his sisters have to say. And he feels the pain from his sisters and he identifies with it because even though they were with their mother, they were abandoned and neglected in a different way like he was. And he says, I feel their pain and it feels like a burden and I refuse to take that pain on. But you could see, he starts crying, he starts breaking down and he's like, it's too much. I can't deal with this. And I think that he is feeling sympathy for his sisters and that it's frustrating to him that his mom is not, so caught up in being defensive that she's not grasping the picture. So, he says he feels the pain of feeling neglected and left behind. He acknowledges that he's gay and that's who he is and that he really cannot deal with her issues with that. And Iyanla says, you need to accept that he's gay, put that behind you because y'all already got enough issues to deal with and this cannot be one of them. So I think she actually got the picture on that. He said that he's had years to deal with the fact that, his mom was 12 years old when she had him. And he acknowledges that a 12-year-old couldn't have raised him to be the person that he was. And so it came across to me that he was not blaming her really for giving him up. So I hope that she found some type of comfort with that. But so Angela starts to talk about her history and how she was sexually assaulted by the friend of her aunt's boyfriend whose home she was living in. And the guy who sexually assaulted her was 18 or 19 years old and how there was nobody there to protect her and that her father was dead and that her mother just wasn't there. So when I was talking earlier about the aunt, I don't think it's the same aunt that told the sisters about Terrell. I don't think it's the same aunt whose house she was staying in when she conceived or when she was raped and conceived Terrell. Because I think she said it was her sister that told the sisters about Terrell. But anyways, Iyanla encourages her to scream. She always be encouraging people to scream and let out sounds and stuff. And so they go out on the balcony and she just cries and she weeps. And the siblings are apparently are hearing their mother cry and they are breaking down. And I feel like even though they were definitely in emotional distress, kind of, I don't, the word, that's not the upset, emotional upset, it felt a little lighter to me, that they had finally learned some things, they had gotten some stuff off their chests and all that stuff. So next we see Iyanla and she starts to bring family in one by one to, have a conversation with each other. Denise says that she's ready and open. And so we see Angela and Denise meet for the first time. And Angela says thank you and that Denise did a wonderful job. And Denise was very gracious and said that she was happy to do it and that she loves Terrell so much. And they were super adult about the whole situation, despite the fact that Angela seemed to have some type of negative attitude towards Denise at first, at least in my perception. They handled it graciously and did a great job. So I hope that they both meant what they were saying and that they really do want to be in relationship with each other to provide support for Terrell. So Terrell gets invited in and he's like, oh, I don't know which side to sit on, because again, he has this tug of war feeling and eventually he sits on the side of Denise. And Terrell, says to Denise, I don't want you to feel like you're losing a piece of me. I just want you to feel like I'm gaining more family. And Iyanla says that Terrell has to create that type of relationship where they can all coexist together. My dog is getting on my last nerve. I cannot with him. Okay. And And Iyanla says he has to create that type of relationship where they can coexist because he's the link between them. So his bio mom says that she's happy that he found her and that she's going to be there for him, supporting him. And then his adoptive father comes in, and his sisters come in too, and they start to chit chat, and you see them for the first time all together and just kind of being in the first starting position of getting to know each other. And so from the updates and the pictures that we saw, they've gone out to eat since then. They have been keeping in contact. He checks in with them weekly. They're still building and working on their relationships, and it seems like they're doing well, and I'm really happy about that. And so this is the first episode of the season where we do not have a celebrity there, but it's really interesting. It's interesting because I don't know that she's really focused on adoption like this before. So it was something new for me. I got a number of things for myself out of this. So let me know what you thought about this episode. Did you like it? Were you feeling it? What was going on for you? What are your thoughts and what are your comments? Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on social media, and you can find those links down in the description box. Peace out, home slices.